I couldn't be bothered to make my own sort of structured review, scripted review for this movie. I just want to point out I have one flaw with this movie. Just one big major flaw. The rest you can just discuss it, you can just nitpick the entire movie on, but I have one big flaw, and I'm asking this whoever's producing this movie, I just like, why do you have to put on this creative direction? So the movie I'm talking about is, of course, Death Note 2017. It's based on the manga, it's based on the anime, blah, 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 blah. You already know that. Now let's get to the problem. The problem that I have with this movie, and this is also the problem that I have before you guys even showed the movie. Before, when the trailers popped up. The issue isn't the fact that, oh, the characters are being whitewashed or else being played by a black guy. That's not the issue. That's not the issue at all. The issue here is that you take the characters from the manga, the characters from the anime, and you put them into a movie. You decided to remake them to your own Western version. You know what? If this movie is basically Death Note, except with a new story, and it takes place in the West, I would have zero issue with that. I would have just go right ahead, make that. Absolutely. I'm actually very interested to know the story, a story in a different perspective, in a different world, new characters that we can relate to, not just L again, not just Light again, not just Watari again, not just the same sorts of people. If the movie takes place in the West and it deals with different characters within a different atmosphere, with different motivations on why the characters decided to write the names on the Death Note, I would be 100% on board. Instead, they decided to do it with L again. They decided to do it with Light again. They decided to retread the same sorts of plot storylines that are in the manga, at least in the first half. Because in the second half, they decided to do something different. They decided to twist the story into, well, we just kind of followed the manga like the first half, but this movie is an hour and 30 minutes long, so we're just gonna find a way to wrap it up. That's basically what they did in the second half. They decided to find a way to basically close the movie. And you know what? I actually don't mind the second half, because the second half actually it's actually something original. It's something that, yes, it's something new. It is something, it's not necessarily the best thing ever, but it's finally something new. The first half was basically retreading the manga plot again. Well, with some variables here and there, but it's basically the same thing. The second half actually takes place in a new direction, in a new original story, and that one is actually intriguing. I actually want to know what's going on. But you have to put me on going to the same or sort of story of how Light finds out the Death Note book. Like, it's basically just kind of the same as in the manga, except Light now is he is hysterical in this movie. By the time he sees Ryuk, he screams like a pussy. Like, I would scream like a pussy like that too, but at least the original L was, not the original L, the original Light was, at least he was a little bit more composed. He was shocked, he was terrified, but he was slightly more composed, at least as far as I remember when I read the manga. It was like years ago. This one, he just screams like a pussy, which I find hilarious. And that's the thing, movie. That's the problem. When you take characters from the anime, when you take characters from the manga, and you decided to adapt them into this movie, you're going to run the risk of butchering them. You're going to run the risk of, oh, this is the Western version of the anime's character. This is the Western version of the manga's character. You're going to run the risk of fans getting pissed off because this is not how Light is. This is not how L is. This is not how Atari is. This is not how Misa or Mia is. Like, you run the risk of alienating the fans of the fans who see this movie. Now, again, my suggestion is very simple. If you just make this movie in an entirely new storyline with new characters, with new original characters. Have you guys read the manga pilot, the Death Note manga pilot? Because that was actually one of the first few ones that I've read, the actual manga pilot. And it was actually very interesting. It was just only simple one short episode. sorry, my friend there. It was just simple one short episode of this 13-year-old guy who finds the Death Note. And it was brilliant. It was just one simple short story of how one guy finds the Death Note. It's not L who finds the Death Note. It's not Light who finds the Death Note. It's this one guy. It's this one kid who finds the Death Note. And it's terrifying, but it's also really damn interesting because Now it was someone else who finds the Death Note, and we want to know what's going on. Why can't you just do that? Why can't you just put in original characters with the story? I was like, I don't expect much for this movie. I watched the movie, the Death Note 2017 movie. It could have had so much potential. It could have been so good. Like, it could have just taken a different route, a different story with different characters, but they decided to retread the same thing over and over again. And the movie turned out to be just meh. It's meh. It's not the best, it's not the worst thing, it's not the best thing that I've ever seen. It just turns out to be meh. It's forgettable at the very best. So if you want to see this movie, if you think that if I'm interested in this movie, you're not gonna be, if you expect this movie to suck, well, yeah, it's gonna suck. It's gonna be just about as how you expected it to be. Or maybe you will be surprised. I'm not sure. But I watched this movie. I don't expect too much of this movie, and I think this movie is just meh. So there's that. Again, one issue movie. If you just make original characters, make original story, I would have zero issue with your movie. But, well, you decided to take the anime's character, the manga characters, you put it in a movie. I can just really shrug to it. So there you have it. My review for Death Note 2017.